Hello, Montgomery County. This is Brandon Langer with MCIU. I am the Program Administrator for Instructional Technology in the Office of Professional Learning. And this is Talking EdTech with MCIU. And this series is all about bringing awareness to products in the marketplace, showcasing all the wonderful things that educational technology can bring to our classrooms, and just give everybody an up-to-date view of where we are in the EdTech space, because there's been a lot of development and there's a lot of great things going on. Today's an exciting day for us because we are meeting with, we have Linda and Jen from Learning A to Z with us. And MCIU has been a partner for a long time with Learning A to Z. We believe strongly in its capability of what it can bring to the classroom. And thank you, Linda and Jen, for joining me. They'll introduce themselves and then we'll be off to the races, taking a look at what they have to share on today's episode.
Thank you, Brandon. Linda, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Linda Hanlon. I have been with Learning A to Z for about 3 years. I am the field director in Pennsylvania, which means I help the school districts of Pennsylvania find the literacy solutions they need to be successful. I've been in the EdTech space for about 20 years and do have a master's degree in early education as well. So I come to this with a pure heart, and I am thrilled to be able to talk about what makes Learning A to Z a perfect solution for meeting your differentiation needs in the classroom. Jen?
Thanks, Linda. Jennifer Kulik. I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I have been with Learning A to Z for a little over 3 years now. I also have an education background. For Learning A to Z, I am a national curriculum consultant, which means I primarily connect with educators and administrators and help them find solutions for their learning and instructional needs. Before Learning A to Z, I was a teacher and an administrator and a principal, special education coordinator, you name it. I've probably hit it in the field of education. So I am excited to be here to connect with you all and answer some of your questions today.
Awesome. Well, thank you both once again for joining us. And I know today you guys are going to kind of drive the conversation here, but like I said, we've had a long-term partnership, and every time Linda and I have been, I came to IU 3 years ago. Every time we talk, I learned something new about this product. So I'm looking forward to see what we have to look at today.
Great. Thank you so much, Brandon. So I want to start off just by talking about classrooms today. So if you walk into any elementary, middle school classroom, you are going to see 25 students with 25 different learning needs. And so what makes Learning A to Z so effective is that we have tools to meet those needs in the classroom. When we talk about technology in the classroom, and because I've been doing this for a while, I understand that EdTech tools are very similar to a Carpenter's toolbox. A Carpenter's toolbox has different tools to meet the needs of the day. A Carpenter's toolbox has a measuring tool, it has a saw, it has a drill, and all of those tools have very specific purposes as part of that Carpenter's day. So when we look at this analogy and compare it to EdTech tools, it's very similar. We have tools that measure, we have tools that automatically function and automatically work to fit students' needs, but we also have tools that are more manual in nature, tools that teachers can grab and utilize to fit the needs of the classroom or the particular student. We at Learning A to Z have a myriad of tools that help you reach the needs of those 25 students in your classroom. If you have a student struggling with short vowel sounds, or you have a student struggling just with base literacy and fluency issues, we can help you address those needs either through an automatic function, through just independent reading, whole group instruction, small group instruction, and we do that in an easy to search format. So I want to go ahead and walk you through what makes Learning A to Z so successful in Pennsylvania classrooms and why our partnership with MCIU has been successful over these past many years.
Yeah, and today we're going to be covering some of the most commonly asked questions that we get in the field and ultimately show you how Learning A to Z is supporting the advancement of literacy skills in the classroom. So I know one of the most common questions that we get, and the first one that I'm going to ask Linda to address is, what is the difference between Learning A to Z, Reading A to Z, Raz-Kids, Kids A to Z, Raz-Plus. There's so many different names. I don't know what's going on. Can you help us, Linda?
Absolutely, Jen. So this is the most common question and one that I answer almost every day. So what is great about Learning A to Z, the company? Learning A to Z is the overarching umbrella where all of our programs fit. So I occasionally will get an email from someone saying, I need more Learning A to Z. Okay, well, what do you mean by that exactly? Reading A to Z, Raz-Kids, Raz-Plus, Science A to Z. So what exactly are you looking for? What do you need? And typically what they mean is Raz-Plus. And so let's just go ahead and start there. Raz-Plus is a combination of the Reading A to Z, the teacher resources, and the Raz-Kids, the student access or student resources. Reading A to Z, Jen, if you want to go ahead and click on that, Reading A to Z houses all of our 50,000 literacy teacher resources. Those resources from Reading A to Z can be printed, projected, but also digitally assigned to the students in the classroom. So they can take advantage of the data associated with engaging with those resources. Reading A to Z is the foundational product, or the one that started off with Learning A to Z, and it is what I would consider one of our most popular products. Raz-Plus together is what I have seen mostly for our growth in Pennsylvania, is a combination of both of those together, because during specifically the pandemic, we not only needed the literacy resources, but we also needed to confirm that students were engaging with the resources. And when students log into their Raz-Kids, they can read books, but we're also documenting all of those touches. So we're able to see when a student has read a book, whether they've taken an assessment on that particular assignment, and how they're progressing overall. So what's nice is we have the Reading A to Z providing all of those thousands of resources to support differentiating to students, but then we also have the student side, which is also very engaging and enjoyable for students. Again, very few complaints from anybody who uses our program because the resources support many, many different areas of literacy.
And of course, when you combine Reading A to Z, the teacher-facing side, and Raz-Kids, the student-facing side, when you combine that into Raz-Plus, you're going to get an extension of resources, which is also highly valuable among our students and teachers that use this product. So we're excited to show you a little bit more about Raz-Plus today.
Jen, now while we're best known for our books and our printable and projectable resources, can you talk a little bit more about the additional pieces that our program holds? We know that the leveled readers are what most teachers first come to us for because they need particular books to supplement their core curriculum. But can you talk a little bit more about the other features within the program?
Yeah, absolutely. So as Linda mentioned, if you hover over the resource tab, you're going to notice that we have a leveled text drawer, and this is where you're going to get our 5,000 plus books that we offer. Probably the most popular, most frequently clicked on link is that teachers will go into the all leveled books and they'll search for a resource that meets their needs of a particular group of students, individual student, or an entire class. But what is so exciting about Raz-Plus and part of the evolution of Raz-Plus over the years is that we have taken all of these resources and we've designed them in a way where they fit into a year-long literacy curriculum, both for a K-5 environment and a foundational skills curriculum that teachers can implement in their classroom comprehensively and use as a core curriculum if they would like to. What we've also done is pulled all of those resources out individually and broken them down into categories so that teachers can use them depending on their need. So depending on what they need is going to depend on how they're going to use our product. And many teachers really like to go in and pick out a specific foundational skills resource or pick out a specific intermediate learning resource for those 3 through 5 learners, for example. And so let's talk a little bit about those varied resources. In the foundational skills drawer, for example, we have designed phonics and phonological awareness that are sequenced explicit instruction. If you click into this link, you're going to notice that it's very different than clicking on a resource that shows you a book. It's going to break it down by grade level. And it's going to be sequenced, lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and so on. And these resources in particular are going to provide a blended learning environment. So some of those resources you're going to implement in the classroom face-to-face. Some of these resources you're going to be able to print off and use with your students in a small group setting or in a whole class instruction. And some of these resources you're going to assign to your students online. And so in a given lesson, you're getting multiple resources at your fingertips from the teacher side to really meet those specific needs of your students in the classroom. And this all comes with an assessment measure along the way. So as you're moving through these lessons in sequence, you're also going to notice pause points. Pause points are quick checks for comprehension, and they are going to allow you to document those skills for those students. So let's click on pause point 8, for example. And if you scroll down, you're going to notice that assessment. And this confirms that those students have mastered those skills in all of the lessons prior and they're ready to move on. Or perhaps it's going to indicate that teachers need to do a little bit more work in that area, which we then can go back into the Raz-Plus platform and find a resource that specifically focuses on that skill that that student is showing a need in. I love these assessments because you can create a file for each student and you can share them with that student. You can share them with a family member and you can keep track of the progress that your students are making in the classroom.
Jen, can I ask a quick question? Sorry, you were showing that real quick, and you mentioned 3 different ways that these resources can be used. For these pause points, are they a resource that you print out and conduct the assessment that way?
Yes, in this particular resource, you print out the pause point, or you can project it and you can mark up the projectable. So if you're in a virtual learning environment, for example, you can pull up that assessment on the screen and you might be asking the student to identify letters or identify sounds and symbols, and you can mark up that text in the projectable format. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yep, perfect. Thank you. That's new to me, so I just wanted to curious the modality.
Yeah. And teachers have also taken advantage of this with certain learning management systems where they can pull up PDF documents and annotate on those documents, and then they can save those files in the student folders. They can assign an assessment to a student in Google Classroom using that option.
Jen, you want to just show the base search feature as well? How if you, for instance, are looking for short vowel sound book or other resources?
Yeah, Linda's talking about this cell right here. If you type in any skill, strategy, topic, color, whatever you might need, you can put it into this search engine. And Linda mentioned short vowels. So I'm going to click on this. And what we really like about this feature is that there's an advanced search section on the left-hand side that is going to help you narrow down exactly what you're looking for. So you can pull in a specific level. You can search by Lexile. If you know you want a decodable book, you can click on decodable and it's going to filter those resources on the right-hand side. And then from here, in a matter of seconds, you could hover over that resource and click assign. And you're going to send that resource to your students in the Kids A to Z environment, and they're going to be able to complete that resource online right away. So that's really a nice feature as well.
What was that add to folder button, Jen, just to call out the other option there? What would that do?
We have something called file folders, and you'll notice it in the file cabinet link here. And this is a way for teachers to track resources and sort of build out their own scope and sequence as they go. It's also a place where they can share resources with other teachers in the district. So if you know that you are building out Monday teacher resources, student resources, for example, you can add this resource to whatever folder you've created or whatever lesson you're in that instruction. And then when you're ready to, let's say you want to build this out on a Friday and get ready for the next week, you can click on whatever folder you've created and it's going to take you to those resources. I don't have any in this one, for example, but if I click in here, it'll take you to those resources and you can assign them to your students early Monday morning or on, again, like a Friday after school. You can print out the ones that you need. You can assign the ones that you need, and then you're ready to go for the week. But I mentioned that you could, Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just like, you can see that there are, I can tell by the icons, there's privatized ones, there's shared folders. So when I envision, I have a 4th grade team, and let's say I have 2 teachers that are really understand how to navigate the platform on this side of things. Maybe I have 2 teachers that struggle with that a little bit. We could build common resource repositories just in the system.
Perfect.
And they could be pulling up those
Yes.
same resources and pushing them to their kids right out of the file cabinet. Is that accurate?
And
Okay.
think about bringing those professional learning communities to life and really allowing cross-curricular instruction and department collaboration. This is where you can do that, all from that Learning A to Z product, whether you're using Raz-Plus, Science A to Z, Vocabulary A to Z, they're all going to be equipped with that file cabinet sharing capability.
Okay.
And to that point, doesn't have to be this detailed. It could simply just be about a particular unit. My entire 3rd grade is doing a unit on oceans for the month of October, and we can just pull all the oceans resources together. We're going to learn about whales next week, and during that, to talk about weights, and we're going to talk about other STEM resources that we can utilize and pull into those lessons as well. So we can tie those folders directly to existing core curriculum, or we can create our own just unit-based folders, or just, hey, I know you all are really struggling to find resources that address main idea. These are some really great ones that I found within, so that can be generic or as specific as you'd like those folders to be. And like you said, Brandon, they can be specific to your own instructional needs, or they can actually reach a broader audience at the entire building or even district.
Yeah. And just to wrap up this question, I wanted to show you just a couple more things. So I'll just talk through the drawers. I mentioned the leveled texts. This is where you're going to find our books. We also have an assessment section. So Brandon had asked about the variation of how you can implement assessments with these resources. And there are, of course, assessments that you can assign online in the Kids A to Z environment. We have a wonderful digital running record that will allow you assess your students' instructional reading level. We have alphabet letter naming, high frequency words. You see it all on here. Take some time to click into these links, and you're going to have those assessments that you need for your students. Foundational skills is that early literacy drawer. All things early literacy. We've broken it out, and we've allowed you to pick and choose those resources as you need. Focused instruction starts to gear more towards your intermediate learning, collaboration, comprehension, critical thinking skills. You're going to find tons of varied resources that come with animated videos that model the lesson at hand, practice passages, independent learning, interactivities where students get to drag and drop answers on a particular skill that they're working on. It's a wonderful drawer, one of my favorites. And then the list goes on. We've got an entire writing, vocabulary, and word work section. We support multiple languages, including Spanish and French and British English. You see it. And then last but not least, we even have some add-ons that you can purchase with your school district if you have a community that could benefit from ELL edition. Or if you want to explore our connected classroom, that's another digitally focused student choice-based platform that is going to give your teachers some additional options for that at-home virtual learning and extra practice in the classroom and outside of the classroom. So I hope I answered that question. There's so much more than books, and we're just very excited to share that with everybody.
Yeah, I think it's important for folks to understand. And as you know, Jen talked very little about the actual books that are included within the program, but the books are quite extensive. Jen, do you just want to very quickly show the leveled books and how you can choose books based on the Lexile level or using our leveling system? And then the fact that we do link to all major leveling systems as well by hovering over those books.
Yeah, and if I would click on a particular level, it's going to filter down below. And perhaps I know that I'm looking for a nonfiction resource. Maybe I want one that comes in a multi-level set. Whatever you need, you'll be able to filter those results, and then you can scroll down through and pick a resource that meets the needs of your students. And as we mentioned, when you click on a resource, it's going to take you to that main page. of that resource. And here's where it gets really impressive, because we're showing all these features, but what you want to realize is when you even click into an individual resource, you now then are equipped with a massive amount of selection for your students within this one resource. So in this particular example, you can print this book out for your students. You can project it and use it on a whiteboard or in a virtual learning environment. And you, of course, can also assign this resource to your students where they can listen to the book, read the book, and take a quiz. And not only assign, but you can assign to a small group, you can assign to your entire class, you can assign to an individual student, and it's going to take you less than a minute to click on this resource. If you know what you need and you're used to the platform, you're going to be click, 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 and off they go. And of course, all of our resources come with a lesson plan. They're going to come with additional options. Some of our books come with writer's response or a literature circle. This book comes in a multi-level set, so you're accessing different reading levels in your classroom. And it's going to come with worksheets for students to practice those strategies and skills that are being addressed in that resource.
And so back to our conversation about the folders, this would be a book that would likely be added to that Oceans unit, because it is a multi-level set, which means we can address a lot of different needs and a lot of different student levels within one single classroom. We could fill an entire week with this one book with the resources associated with it. When we talk about 50,000 literacy resources and folks think about a leveled book, they might think of this leveled book, but they don't think about all the complementary resources that come with that leveled book. And so I'm so glad Jen went into that and pointed that out. And again, if you can assign it directly to one or multiple students, but also add it to your folder, creating less work for you in subsequent years. Or if you're the lead for your particular third grade class or third grade group in your elementary building, maybe you're, like you said, Brandon, somebody is not as capable or simply doesn't have the time to go through the resources and find what they'd like to use to supplement. Most of our teachers are using this time after school, and they're searching places like Teachers Pay Teachers or Pinterest. Well, it's nice to have all of these resources organized and categorized within one research-based offering. And so when we talk about Raz-Plus or Learning A to Z, and we're talking about these 50,000 literacy resources, we always need to make the point that these have been created to meet very specific literacy needs. We didn't pull these out of the sky, and we have organized them in a way to make teachers' lives easier. And so what we have an offering here, 50,000 supportive tools to help you in a research-based kind of cocoon. And the reference we used earlier before we started our official taping was the Swiss Army knife. This is a Swiss Army knife that can pull out a tool that you need at any given moment in your classroom during the day or the year.
And Linda, to your point there are people that have been using the Raz product for years, and I don't even know that all of them fully understand that all of it is categorized. So if you're watching this, you're like, and we've had Learning Easy for a while, it's always good to review, because a lot of what Jen has highlighted, and like I said at the kickoff of this, every time I talk to you, I learn something new that's there. There is so much to pull from, and I think we feel like we need to use, this as our resource. This is our resource of leveled books. It's like, okay, there is so much more there. You highlighted assessments, you highlighted assignments, you highlighted different ways to deliver assignments. So we're creating a more accessible environment. We've highlighted ways this can be leveraged virtually. There's just so many different things that could be utilized by teachers in a variety of settings. And not to steal your next question, but I'm just curious, how does that bridge into the other topic areas? We have literacy. What about science? What about writing? What about vocab? What does that look like? What do those features look like?
First of all, overarching wise, Learning A to Z, again, the umbrella company, Raz-Plus is under there. A couple of modules that link to Raz-Plus are the ELL and Connected Classroom that Jen's already talked about. But we do incorporate these other core areas as well. And Jen's going to detail those and how they work well with Raz-Plus. But in addition to that, the first thing in EdTech, are administrators' concerns about having too many places for teachers to go to find their tools. Well, what's great is all of our tools are in one light environment. So we have created an interface that really incorporates all of those different tools together, but not only just for the teachers, but for the students as well. So when they log into their Raz-Kids, they log into a repository that stores all of the different programs together. So we don't have to continually log in and log out. So Jen's going to talk about the different programs that are available, but I wanted to preface it with the point that these are all in one space. So if you have science and the writing and the vocabulary, the teachers aren't having to go in and out of different programs. They are all contained or self-contained. Go ahead, Jen.
Right. And, you know, I'm already logged in here. So you're going to notice I can click over into Science A to Z, and it's going to take me to that platform, continuing to be logged in, as Linda just mentioned. You're also going to notice that there's some consistency with the way it's set up. So it's going to allow for an easy, quick transition for accessing the platform and becoming familiar with how to use it. Now, Science A to Z is one of our award-winning curriculum resources that provides a robust literacy of multi-level informational texts, hands-on experiments, and other engaging learning opportunities. And the main key points that you're going to see here is that it's fantastic at differentiating instruction, because almost every resource has a multi-level option that's going to be offered across 3 different grade spans. You're also going to be putting science into practice with high interest science activities and projects that foster that curiosity and investigation. And last but not least, it's always expanding on students' understanding with additional current events and STEM-focused resources that you're going to see here. So if you click into that resource tab, you'll notice that they're broken down by units. So if you want to follow that more comprehensive approach, we of course have a unit-based curriculum that is going to even give you some deeper guidance once you click into it. And you can, of course, then pull it out and find those resources individually. So getting back to that concept of really depending on what your needs are is going to depend on how you use the resource. You can follow it step by step, or you can follow it by, well, I need some literacy supported science materials, or I need some hands-on learning science materials. That's where you're going to find videos, interactivities, classroom debates, project-based learning, process activities, anything that you could imagine for your students. This is actually one of my favorite products that we have, because it is so fun and engaging, and it brings the learning to life for students. And before I show you an example unit, I also want to mention that we are, of course, aligned to NGSS. So you can research those, you can search for your tools and resources by those grade spans and by those performance expectations that are highlighted in the NGSS. So clicking into like one specific link here, if I would just go to the solar system, for example, you'll notice that same process. You can print, you can project, and you can assign those resources. You're going to have a roadmap if you want to get some guidance on how to use the resources included in this unit. Or you can scroll down and pick and choose what you need for your students, depending on where you're at in your instructional process. So pay attention to this, the note that I made about the multi-level. Here you have a nonfiction book, and it's offered in a low, mid, and high, and that's also differentiated by its quiz. You have a process activity option for this unit. You then have focus books that are going to include hands-on learning opportunities, shorter, more subject-specific books that allow you to differentiate in your classroom. You're going to see multi-levels here. If you click into any one of these books, you're going to see really engaging graphics and questions that can guide students' learning, diagrams. You're going to always have a read, think, and write that comes at the end of these focus books. And it's going to finish with a be a scientist or be an engineer, which is a really fun, engaging, hands-on learning opportunity if you have the ability to do so in your classroom. We utilize classroom materials or materials that you can find at home to take that learning to the next level and bring it to life by conducting an experiment of some kind.
Jen, is
And
it
that's just,
when I
yeah,
click
go ahead.
assign, is it appearing on the student dashboard side? If I assign one of those readers, is it going into a science A to Z section, or is it falling under their, the Raz-Plus section?
That's an excellent question. So when we click into the Kids A to Z environment, and let's just do it right now. It'll take me 1 second. Every product is going to have its own planet. So if students are in science, they are going to know to go to science. And you'll see this when I click go. I have a reading planet. I have a science planet. I have a writing planet, vocabulary, and so on. So if I had assigned Brittany a focus book, she would click into her science spaceship. She would go to my assignments, and you're going to see that focus book listed in here. Now, this is a different focus book, but there's an example of how she's going to have access to that.
Well, Jen, while you're in the student environment, why don't you go ahead and show some of the incentives that we have for students, and one of the reasons that students seem to like Raz-Kids so much. And it's interesting because I was watching Jimmy Fallon one evening, and his kids, it was when we were in the height of the pandemic, and he was at home filming in his home space, and his daughter in the back, she's like, I'm back here reading my books in Raz-Kids. So
yeah.
Kids, that was Raz-Kids, and so we all went, "Whoa!" It was very.
I know.
To see
that
it
was really
on,
cool opportunity.
On the television.
Yeah,
but.
Linda's talking about this opportunity where students, of course, get incentives when they're completing interactivities and reading books on the platform. They're going to earn stars. And those stars allow them to then create this customized, this personalized avatar that allows them to choose anything you can see here. Right. It can be changed. And sometimes students get really caught up in this to the point where their avatar looks exactly like them. If Johnny comes to school with a cast on his arm, suddenly his avatar has a cast on his arm. Or if a student has a pet dog, they often choose to have a pet dog in their avatar. Yeah. And it's just a really fun way for students to use some of those incentives that they've earned.
And one great thing about this is not a stagnant piece. We are constantly updating it based on time of year. Right now, a whole bunch of Halloween things are coming out, some fall items that allow students to decorate or dress up their avatar just as they would during Halloween, across the state or the nation. So it's a nice piece that they do maintain and update constantly. So it's a really nice motivational piece for students.
And additionally, we have a My Stats section, and students really look forward to looking at their stats. They like to see what badges they've earned. So once they earn a badge, the badge will come leaping out at you on the screen, and confetti flies, and it says congratulations. Yeah. And they like to see the progress that they're making on these badges. And so that's a little bit of an incentive as well. And the reading allows them to track how close they are to leveling up to the next reading level. We have an independent level up section that's very desirable among those more motivated students that like to do some independent learning. And then, of course, you've got current reads, completed activities, and lots of other really fun features within the Kids A to Z environment that would be worth exploring.
So when a student is given an assignment, it's going to show up in the My Assignment area, which was very obvious. But we have two other sections as well that speak to that independent reading and the need for growth. Practice is important in reading, just as it is with any skill that we're trying to master. And so we've created an environment that allows for independent reading in addition to completing assignments given by teachers. When a student is put into our Raz-Plus program, they are given an instructional level, and that instructional level will determine what is considered their level up part of the program. Level up means I'm going to read X number of books and take X number of quizzes. And when I've completed reading those books, and as I'm reading those, I'm garnering stars, and I'm taking quizzes, and I'm being able to demonstrate mastery of a particular skill. And as I'm doing that, if I have done all of those assignments in my level up area, and again, this is independent reading or independent learning, I then will be able to move to the next level. So I'm going to be going as a level Q reader to a level R reader by engaging with all of those resources. And that's the level up part of the program. And that exists for every student who has Raz-Kids. So if a teacher has leveled all their students, we are differentiating by every student who logs in. They all have different books based on their level. So this is really building that independent reading skill that is necessary for growth in reading. Now, the reading room gives students a little more opportunity to go up and down grade levels. So he or she will be presented with books that are below their instructional area and above their instructional area as well. So we are no longer limiting the levels. Now we give them a range, but we are enabling them because we believe that reading for reading's sake is very important. And so if a student wants to read a book on soccer and it doesn't happen to be available to he or she as part of their level up books, they can go and seek that book and read that book and also garner stars for that reading as well. So we're providing a lot of opportunity for independent reading above and beyond any assignment that a teacher has given to us. A teacher may assign a book based on what they're doing as part of their core curriculum, but a student may want to read independently, idealistically because they want to become a better reader, but more likely because they're trying to get a star and buy that new cape as part of the Halloween offering. But we're giving them lots of opportunities to read on their own. And when students are at home and they want to log in and they're reading, more often than not, they're logging in and reading in our platform because they really enjoy Raz-Kids. They just enjoy it.
Linda, I think the piece that stands out to me is regardless of what your internal core structure is and size and scope and everything you have, I see power in what your solution offers as a means to help teachers. We've mentioned differentiation, accessibility, all these different pieces are there. Where did the two of you see, or what are some unique things maybe that we haven't hit that are worth highlighting here and as kind of a wrap up of, if you're looking for this, if you're hoping to improve this, how do you feel that learning A to Z fits in?
Yeah.
Jen,
Linda,
do you want to bring up that map very quickly and we can just reference this? So just, I will talk about the environment that we're in right now, and then I'll have Jen wrap up about conceptually our program. But we did a survey of all of our Raz-Plus teachers at the end of last school year because we wanted to understand their feelings on utilizing our resource as part of a virtual environment versus going back to their old brick and mortar way of instruction, and whether or not they had mentally transitioned how they were going to start utilizing the product differently, and or if they plan to at all. I think that COVID and the pandemic forced us to do something that we were naturally heading towards anyway, which is utilizing resources in a more multimodal function, forcing districts down that path. And what we found, and one of the questions was, how are you using it in a virtual environment? If you don't have this resource available to you in a brick and mortar environment, what will you use instead? And what we found was they wouldn't stop seeking resources. They would seek free and or resources that didn't have research behind them. So that was one of the concerns that we saw, but we did see a 50% growth of the use of our program in Pennsylvania last year. So we had incredible growth, and most of those teachers were concerned that they might rein in the use of digital products as they went back to the classroom. And we haven't found that to be the case. And so we know that our program, whether you are in a digital environment or you are in a brick and mortar environment, that there is an incredible use philosophy in that we can use it both ways. We can have whole group instruction in a classroom setting, or we can use it as part of a Google Classroom, and we can have independent utilization of the Level Up and other reading resources, well, we can also have small groups of students reading together a book. So we have found that we've really traversed this complicated new world quite well, and that because the foundation of our program was about educational choices being made by teachers, that they are very comfortable utilizing our product either in a virtual or an in-classroom environment.
Yeah,
Jen,
Linda, that speaks to something, sorry, quickly, that one of our consultants said as we were preparing an offering in our office. Hopefully that'll be coming out later this year, and it is that all students are virtual learners. Even if we're in the classroom, even if we're in whatever setting, we have a virtual component from here. We did, honestly, many of us before the pandemic, but particularly now,
Yes.
we hopefully have realized the power of some of these things to increase engagement, increase interactivity, increase, student growth and that kind of thing, using virtual tools. So even if we're in the building,
Yeah.
which many of us want to be, my kids are so excited to be back in the building. They're still virtual learners. It's a part of their education now moving forward.
Yeah.
And I think we have a responsibility to meet them at their learning style. And if we don't, we're doing them a disservice. I'm so glad that you said that, Brandon, because so many people look at it as potentially negative or a task or change, right? But what we need to realize is the time has come. Like, we are here, we are virtual learners, and those students are going to move on with or without us. So we can either enhance their learning process and enjoy that and instill the joy of learning through that process, or we can fight it and we're going to have a longer road ahead of us. So
well, even conceptually with the teacher mindset of I have to be the dispersion point of all knowledge, and I'm like, you really want to wear that burden? Like, I'm wrong about stuff all the time. I don't want to wear all that. Like, there is so much that you can use now out there,
right.
that is a support, that is a help, that will, once you get your head around whatever the platform is, as we said earlier, even if it takes a little learning and a little planning, it catches up.
Yeah.
It helps you out. So sorry, Linda, you wanted to pass to Jen for a point.
No, and that's okay. And the point is, it all does come down to professional development or professional learning. And Jen, if you want to just spend 10 seconds talking about, we have embedded instructional tools within our program. A lot of school districts these days simply don't have the kind of time they'd like to utilize on professional development or professional learning. So we've created a much more integrated, ongoing, continuing ed model. That doesn't mean that we aren't happy to engage you in proposals for larger scale implementation strategies and personalized learning days, and having Jen or someone from our PD team really lay out all these resources very explicitly to you. But if you don't have that kind of PD time available or the funding to support that, we have embedded some significant self-learning tools. And Jen's going to go ahead and talk quickly about those.
Yeah, you'll notice at the bottom of any page on any one of our products, you have an instructional support section. And of course, there's a professional development link, but this is all included with the product. So you can get getting started guides and webinars. You can sign up for live webinars that address a specific area of need. You can click into our video library, for example, and it will give you short, concise videos on individual resources and products that we offer, how to implement things, how to use high-low texts, what's going on with vocabulary, English language learners. What is a paired book? How do you use it? What does it look like in the classroom? These nice quick hitters are so valuable to teachers that don't have a lot of time, but they want to use our resources beyond those books. And the only way they're going to do it is if they have some support. So the good news is, within every resource that you click into, there's going to be support right on that page. There's going to be little tip links that you can click on. It's going to show you how to use the resource and why you want to use it. And then there's also that instructional support section at the bottom where you can sign up for a webinar, view recorded webinars that have already been completed but are extremely valuable in an instructional sense, or sign up for that live, more personalized one-on-one, and you can ask questions and really dive in with a professional development specialist. The only other thing that I wanted to mention, because I know we're out of time, is that within this instructional support section, another big, unique, something that helps us stand out a little bit, I think, is the fact that we have so many correlations to other products, other curricular resources and assessments. So as you know, in a classroom, teachers are using all sorts of resources, and that's never going to change. They're never going to have one resource, that's it, I never look beyond it. It just doesn't happen. There are too many varied needs in the classroom. And so if you are a school district that is working with a Houghton Mifflin or a McGraw-Hill or a ReadyGen, if you utilize NWEA MAP or Engage New York, if you need to focus on your language proficiency skills, we have correlations that are embedded here that, again, take you seconds to identify one of your standards, one of your state standards. You click on that link and it's going to take you directly to the resource that we were showing you earlier. And just as an example, if you would click in, let's say you use Wonders and you're a first grade teacher and you are in the middle of Unit 2, Big Idea, you click on Lesson 3, you're going to be working on foundational skills today. It breaks it down exactly as that curriculum has been designed, and it's going to give you additional resources that you can click on and utilize with your students in an online learning environment or in that printable, projectable format. And this is one of our most popular areas, and sometimes a sole reason why districts pick us up, because they say, hey, we have a different core program that we're using, but we need that supplement. And how can we make the lives of our teachers easier in using that supplement so that it aligns with what we are doing in our district and there's consistency there? This is the place that you want to go to. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, Jen, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, seriously, like that's so simple.
Right.
I'm definitely probably actually going to snip that little piece out and push it to our district. I knew that you had something of that nature, but it really couldn't be more simple to lock down, find those supplemental pieces. And again, I run with my own son sometimes with Wonders. He's like, I already read this one. I'm like, I know, I want something else.
Right.
So, and they're a user of Learning A to Z. So that's great to know. Well, hey, I know that we had more to talk about. Perhaps we schedule another one, later on in the year, because there's just so much here to unpack. But I want to thank the both of you for joining, me today and sharing out what you have. And also call to attention, if you're not aware, MCIU, as I said, is a longtime partner. We have some we have some opportunities to save on bundled offerings with Learning A to Z. As Linda highlighted, Learning A to Z goes so much deeper than just Raz-Plus, and our bundles offer you a chance to get 3 of the products put together into a package. So we have a Common Core bundle, a STEM bundle that includes the science, and the third one is escaping at the top of my head, but I'm going to put all the information.
It's a reading bundle.
Reading bundle, thank you.
You're welcome. Yep.
I'll put the links in my email and everything on the site. If you have questions about, our programming, consortium pricing, the bundle opportunity, just reach out to me and I'd be happy to support you. We are also supporting, because we have such a great footprint, with some introductory PD as well from our lens to try and get that scheduled to help districts that want to be doing that and need that this year. So we have those type of supports available for you. Jen and Linda, anything here on that before we say goodbye?
No, I just want to thank you for this opportunity
Yeah.
to share our resources and talk about our partnership and how successful it's been over the years. And we're just thrilled to be able to help the school districts of Pennsylvania to support the literacy needs of their students in the classroom.
Same as Linda said, we love working with you, Brandon. So hopefully we
Thank
can
you
do it
so
again.
much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Not a problem. So again, any questions based on what you saw, I'm happy to stay up with Linda and Jen to discuss further. Also happy to inform you about our bundles. And, again, thanks for joining Talking EdTech, and we'll talk and see you soon.
Great. Thank you, Brandon.